right, so why is innovation important, and do you have an example in your career that kind of backs that up?
You know, innovation has been my career in the last, since about 2000. I think we have to constantly be innovating or we're stagnant. Innovation is growth and it's movement. And that's really, I founded 360 Electrical. It's an electrical business that I have. And that was all driven off of innovation and taking something that was in a stagnant marketplace and figuring out how to change it to make it more user-friendly. And then once we entered that market, we've done that with many electrical devices. So it's constant innovation in a dead space.
What was that like getting into a market that you weren't so familiar with?
Had I known how hard it would be, I wouldn't have done it. But I'm glad I did it, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah.
But I honestly had no idea. I used to laugh and say that I would never be a Sparky. You know, civil engineers made fun of electrical engineers. And here I ended up in an electrical business, knew very little about electrical. I'd self-taught, you know, so I could build barns and things, but it was scary.
What were the circumstances that led to you creating your own business? We kind of got into that a little bit. But.
Yeah, well, I mean, very detailed is that I worked a lot of hours in the petroleum industry, and I was running a division of the company that I started, working almost around the clock. And one night, I had to carry 2 cell phones, because back then, there was only one company that had a national plan, and it was very expensive. So I had a local cell phone, I had a national cell phone. They both died at the same time, about 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. I was in my office, and there was only one outlet that was exposed. Everything else was behind bookcases and credenzas. And I went to plug both phones in, and I couldn't. Because back then, the chargers were huge transformers, and they were polar, so you couldn't put one in and the other one in. I'm not a patient person, so I did a little durability testing on one of the phones at that moment. But the next day I said, this is ridiculous. Why do you have a device that you can only use 50% of its capacity? Mm-hmm. And so literally that next night, talking to a friend who'd done patents, and we sat in a bar, and I sketched out on a napkin how I thought we could do it. Because my dad had shared with me one time how the old generators used to work. You know, now we use alternators, but the generators, how they used to sweep. And I thought, why couldn't we do that? So the guy said, well, I think we can get that patent. And I said, you want to be my partner? And that's literally how it started. But I was running a petroleum company, so I shelved it until I felt like God was saying, it's time to leave this business and go do something else. So I literally sold my ownership in that company, sold my ranch, bought a fifth wheel, and said, okay, God, where do you want me to go and what do you want me to do? And ended up, I felt like he was saying, you know, take that patent and do something with it. So, you know, that's literally how it started.
That's a good story. I like that one. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, other than the durability testing of the phone.
That's okay. Yeah. They make more of those.
Yeah. It did fail, I will say. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So.
How long did it take to get your business up and running, and kind of how fast did you build out, I guess?
It was not a fast process. So I officially started the company in 2005. Submitted for the patent in 1999, the first patent. It was issued in 2001. Shelved it until the end of 2004 when I left the petroleum industry. I pulled it off the shelf. Officially launched 360 Electrical in 2005. We designed and built prototypes and did testing on them, but we didn't really know even how we were to test them because there was no code within the UL lab. And you really can't sell products in the retail space without them being UL tested and approved. So we had to pay UL a lot of money for them to develop the testing program for our products. And that took a long time. So we didn't get UL approval until 2007, and then we started production. And you guys may not remember it, but in 2007, there was a major housing crisis, and our product was targeted towards the builders. So now here we are with 1 million devices we have just manufactured and no marketplace. So I had to very quickly switch gears because my patent covered a lot of different ways of designing and utilizing that rotating aspect. So we switched to more of a end user device that could be plugged into the wall and not have to be hardwired. So we did not make any profit until 2010. So I spent $5 million starting a company that I was scared to death would fail, because most startups fail. Just a harsh reality. But by the grace of God, we've made it.